I'd like to tell you about a show of epic proportions.
I prefer me some magic when I'm trying to get in and out of houses, undetected. I prefer me some magic.
A show where the boundaries are pushed.
I like spam. Is there something wrong with that?
No, nothing at all. If you prefer meat with jelly on top of it, go right ahead.
I'd like to tell you about that show, but that is not this show. This show is the Fortean Slip, with host Chris York.
I have a tendency to go to dark places with my humor. It is what it is. It's not going to change anytime soon.
Co-host Steve Alcorn.
It was so earth-shaking and mind-blowing that even John Teeter in the future knows about it.
And reoccurring, ever-present special guest Matt Knapp.
Yeah, somebody should have put out like a giant bug zapper and just ended that whole Mothman debacle.
A show that lacks taste, a filter, and listeners.
Are you listening? Are you like hearing the fucking fart?
Yeah.
Right, not just smelling it, you're hearing
Not just smelling. Audible as well.
That would be something else.
Whoa.
But
you
well,
have
I do.
parts that you can't tell if it was you or not.
Well, yeah, because
What you are about to hear may be offensive, but we don't really give a fuck.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is episode 25. Domo Arigato Mr. Robotocop. Joining me as always is Mutt and Jeff.
which one am I?
I don't fucking know.
I'm probably Mutt.
You'd be Jeff.
I'd be Jeff. Is he taller?
I'm Matt.
Wait,
so
we're all
Mud,
we're all
Matt.
about the same height. My grandmother used to call me and my ex-wife Mutt and Jeff, because isn't one tall and one short or something like that?
I don't know.
I really don't know.
Yeah, she was really short. And
I just threw it out there. I didn't know we were going to go in depth into Mutt and Jeff.
You shouldn't throw things out there that you don't want to discuss.
This early on in the show.
You stole my Domo Arigato line, by the way.
I did.
I'm not so happy with
because
that.
I didn't have a fucking show title.
Well, now you do.
Yeah.
You're
now I do.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks. You steal credit from me getting the fucking news for you half the time, so.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Yes, you fucking kind of do.
Yeah, because we need to get into a power struggle over our news subjects.
That's right. Listen, Matt. You stay the fuck out of it.
You should be arguing who didn't come up with the news.
That would be you.
I think I've gotten like one news story or two maybe from Matt on a while back, but I couldn't remember what they are. They weren't that good, apparently.
We're just an amazing news source at all times.
That's what I've heard. You know, some people exclusively get their Fortean news from us, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, I took my son today to see Robocop, and I was fucking pretty happy with the movie that they made. It was for a remake of an older movie that is beloved by a lot of people. It was really good. The twists on the story that they put in there. But, you know, it begs the question of, you know, how close are we to this type of stuff? I mean, we did a news story not that long ago about bionic eyes.
And don't forget the news story about the masturbating robot, the one that helps you masturbate.
Yeah, because that's the one that we really give a fuck about.
Did Robocop say things like, "Don't move, dirtbag"?
No. He did say, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me," or something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the effects were good, and but the story wasn't mind blowing or anything like that. Like, it wasn't an amazing movie. I wasn't like walking out of the theater going, "That was just the greatest thing I'll see all year."
Well, no, but if we had been in our 30s when the first one came out, we wouldn't have thought it was great.
Right. So, but I had a good time watching it, and it was a fun movie. And I know that was it you, Matt, who was telling me, or I think I had already seen the trailer before you had mentioned it to me, but about that, I think it's Transcendence with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one where man gets put into a machine, but it's more of a consciousness thing.
Yeah, it's like Johnny Mnemonic or the Lawnmower Man or something.
Yeah, it gets kind of odd, but it begs the
I've
question.
also seen that movie, Her. Is that the name of it? With the weird guy.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. You have to be a rabbi to pronounce his name. That's all I know. But yeah, that movie has. The whole thing is about that. He has a relationship with the artificial intelligent operating system on his computer, and in the movie, not to give it away or anything, but it's like a normal thing. There's lots of people that have relationships, and not just boy-girl relationships, but like best friends and buddies you go out drinking with. Here's my smartphone with this person on it that's not really a person. It's pretty crazy.
Interesting. Didn't they do what's that show with all the geeks on it? I can't remember now. They had an episode like that where he was in love with his smartphone.
Freaks and Geeks?
No, the other one.
I think he's talking about Big Bang Theory.
Yes, that show. But they had an episode like that. He was in love with Siri on his phone. Pretty funny.
In love with fucking Siri.
Yes.
I can't see that one. I can remember having an old Commodore 64 though with a program on it. Like, somebody had taken the time to write a program that would actually give you responses. They were all programmed responses, but it was supposed to be like a psychologist type program. I thought it was kind of funny as a kid to put in like stupid fucking questions and tell it to go fuck off and stuff like that. But
did John Teeter come back and steal your?
Yeah, John Teeter came back, stole my Commodore 64, and said, "Listen, I need this. It's fucked up just enough to fix shit later on."
I too had a Commodore 64. I especially like the monitors that came with those things. It was like a fucking TV set. It weighed about 30 pounds. It was great.
Yeah, I
could never get through a whole game.
I loved my Commodores. I had a 64 and I had a 128. And the 128, you couldn't fucking do anything with that mode. You had to go to 64 mode to do anything because all the games were written for the 64. It used to crack me up as a kid. But it really is amazing how far the computer systems have come. And where we're going with this stuff, and like I was beginning to say before, it begs the question of like Ray Kurzweil talks about, when is this fucking singularity gonna happen? When is the line between man and machine gonna be just fucking gone? Where does it go away? Because you already have people getting basically fucking robotic replacements. It's already starting to happen.
I have a robot vacuum cleaner.
I still think robots are just a tool.
Yeah, but you don't think like the
line
the prosthetic replacements that they're gonna have for people in the future, like arms, legs. Like I said, that news story that we had reported on, that wasn't a bullshit news story about the bionic eyes. That's something that's really happening.
Yeah, but the eye doesn't take over and start controlling the rest of the person or anything.
Well, until your robots become sentient, then we haven't crossed a line yet.
And then they take over the world, and it's the Matrix, and
yeah, but they could become like Data on Star Trek. Be nice.
Annoying.
Oh, annoying, but nice.
Yeah.
Data was my favorite character on the Next Generation.
I think, in the long run, they'd be designed for a specific purpose, to do a certain thing or a certain list of things or to solve a list of problems. And I think that's what will keep everything in check, because I don't think they're ever going to have the ability to be like us and just have thought for the hell of it. Just worthless thinking, which is how we accomplish things like creating these robots in the first place.
That's how
they'd be stuck on solving problems, like whatever they need the solution to the problem, and okay, they've solved that problem, so they'd move on to the next one. I don't think they would be able to create problems randomly to solve. Like, how do we take over the Earth? Well, why do we need to take over the Earth? There's no need for it. They're based in their programming, which is logical, and you have to go outside of logic to start doing crazy movie shit.
Well, like Robocop, he was part human anyway, right? I'm assuming this movie follows that same line.
Right. I mean, spoiler alert. There's not much left of him. Like, that's one of the things that I thought was kind of odd. It was like, why bother at that point? I mean, why not just make it a head?
Well, but what I'm trying to get at is that, the brain was still there, correct? I'm assuming.
Right.
So
the brain was still there.
The sentience part of the robot came from him, his memories and his experiences, not the robotics themselves. So that's the only way, So I don't even think something like that would cross the line at this point, because you're still human. You're just got robot body parts. I wonder if he got a robot penis.
Right, but I know Kurzweil talks about downloading consciousness into a computer. And that's what that movie Transcendence is about.
Right. How far off are we from that, though? I mean, it's
who
not
knows?
Like right around the corner.
Who knows how?
It may have already been done. I mean,
and who knows who knows how far away or how close we are, computer technology wise, to even mimic or create something that can have those emotions or feelings or all those experiences wrapped up. I personally don't fucking know. What would it take? But how close are we? How far away? I don't know. But I think it's an interesting question. Because
I remember a couple of years back they were talking about organic computer chips and shit like that, or organic processors and things. So I guess that would kind of be along the same lines.
They're already creating things that can respond to thought. If there's
unlike all of us.
Yeah, hence the fucking dead air. But yeah,
again.
You want some dead air, do you?
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you break it all down, the human mind is just electrical impulses.
Right.
So, in theory, I guess it's a possibility to somehow give a machine a consciousness from a person. But I don't know how close we are to that, or if that's even a direction we'd be going.
I found it interesting. Years ago, I love video games, and I especially love simulation games or strategy games. Years ago, I found this game called Creatures. I don't know if either one of you are familiar with this game. Yes?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
No. Okay, in Creatures, they basically claim to have created the first digital genetic DNA. So it had their own strands. You could breed these fucking things. You had could have like huge lineages. They would change in color and their behavior and what they did, and they like people bred them to like become these, like they called them the Highlander Norns because they would live forever and they never would get sick, and but it had its own genetic structure, and I just find it interesting that, you know, where that stuff was being done back then just as a game, you know, now we're talking about, you know, at what point can we download consciousness into a fucking computer?
So if you know, let's say an android or whatever has consciousness, then what point do we give them the same rights as a human? I mean, they're conscious
Yet
sentient
another
beings.
thing. Who the fuck knows? Right
And
now,
that's
it's
why
just all fucking a computer doing what we told it to do.
that's why I brought up Data. He was sentient, you know, and they had the one episode where he was on trial, and
Was he?
yeah,
How do you
and
know? How do you know, Steve?
because I watched it.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
Oh, likely story.
I've seen every episode of The Next Generation probably 3 times.
Really?
I liked Voyager better, but anyway. So anyway, they were trying to, you know, send him back to the factory to disassemble him or whatever. Send him back to Federation
We
headquarters.
wish we could send you back to your fucking divergent
Because
timeline.
because he did something wrong. But my
But then
point
his
is,
agent agreed to a contract negotiation, and then he was written back into the script, so...
and then there was another episode where he wanted to become a father, and he created his own android, and they were
And there was
arguing.
another episode where he got a sense of humor, and then there's another episode where he got angry, and...
But anyway,
It was
what I'm
kind of
saying
a
is,
bit that they carried on, Steve.
yes, but what I'm saying is, at what point do we consider something like that, if that ever comes to pass?
If it's not living, it can't be human.
Well, that was Captain Picard's argument at the beginning until he decided to change his mind. I like Jean-Luc Picard. He was cool.
And spam, we've heard. But I think you would be more in the direction of like that movie Surrogates, where, you know, we just plug into a machine that's, you know, goes out and does our jobs for us and interacts and does all that. If anybody's seen the movie
Yes,
Surrogates.
I have seen the movie. The whole time I was waiting for fucking Ving Rhames to say to Bruce Willis, "In the fourth, your ass goes down."
I have not seen that movie.
Huh.
No big surprise there.
That is.
Yeah, but and to some degree, I agree with you. Like, I think it's going to go in all kinds of different directions. I think you're going to see like exoskeletons, especially. They're already doing that type of work with people who you know have spinal injuries and so on and so forth, and even for military applications. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everything, I think, gets invented for military applications first, and then it becomes...
Are you saying we
because
need a
they can
fucking good
weaponize.
war? Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Well, if they can weaponize
warmonger?
something... No, if they can weaponize something, they always will.
As long as we keep everything as a tool and with us in control of it, I think we'll be fine. Now, to give a robot of some kind its own consciousness and free will to do whatever it wants, I think that would be a huge mistake.
Well, I agree with you there.
I think I remember listening to the Joe Rogan podcast once, and the guy who does the show with him, I think his name's Brian, he had brought up that they had made these 2 artificially intelligent programs, I guess, and they had introduced the 2 programs to one another via, like, I don't know if they were interconnected by the internet or whatnot, or by some type of network, but that one of the first things that the 2 artificial intelligent programs started doing with each other is lying to each other.
Hmm.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, it's very interesting because they have, you know, obviously would have no moral compass. whatsoever.
And one of those programs was called...
I don't know.
I was going to say Al Gore.
Al Gore.
I invented the internet, you know?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. I did.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things right there. I mean, think about how many things have happened historically in civilization based on emotion. And obviously robots lack emotion, so how would that play a factor into the decisions that they would make? I mean, we can say that that would be really scary, you know, for robots to start thinking on their own or whatever, but at the same time, with things like emotion and ego and greed removed from the equation, maybe they'd make really great decisions.
Who knows? Who knows if they would be able to make the correct logical decisions, or if their logical decisions would, you know, ultimately harm us in some way. Who knows? It is a conundrum of a fucking question, I can tell you that.
Well, I know the more that we become dependent on this technology that we create for ourselves, the digger the hole we're, you know, creating for ourselves if this day ever happens.
Well, I mean, just for instance, the other day when you and I were talking, one of the things I think you had brought up or I had brought up, what did we do before we had cell phones?
We walked around dragging our knuckles.
You know?
I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest with you.
Gods during thunderstorms, and
I don't fucking remember.
I go nuts if I leave my fucking cell phone at home. I just, because it's such a part of you nowadays, you know.
We're so fucking connected with technology. It's
being able to have information as soon as we want it
at your fingertips at all times. You get the
I remember like digging through encyclopedias and like, can I have a ride to the library? You know, like there were questions that I didn't know the answers to because I didn't have a resource to get them. Now I can just Google it and it's there.
Yeah, it's a fucking whole new world. And it's gonna expand even more. Like all that information expands and expands and expands. It's just all interconnected. And it's crazy how quick information can just go from one end of the globe to the other. Just bam, done.
It's virtually instant anymore, you know.
Yeah. So people can collaborate from one end of the globe to the other in an instant.
Or play video games with one another.
Or play video games.
Or have
share
really lame
internet
podcasts
porn.
about it.
Yeah. Or sit around and babble.
Yeah. Get into huge fights about cryptids.
I was thinking to myself one day how useless most of these Facebook groups really are. And we're sitting there arguing about creatures that I know that some of us in this group have seen a Bigfoot, but some of us haven't. But we're arguing about things that may or may not even exist. I mean,
that's what we're doing with this great technology, though.
I know, and it just
sending
baffles
people
your mind.
pics and like arguing about Bigfoot, and
I've never sent anybody a rooster pic.
Oh.
It's going downhill, gentlemen. So, Steve, don't you have some news?
And our first story from theblaze.com. This is about Minister Farrakhan. During the final installment of his year-long sermon series, Time and What Must Be Done, the minister, Louis Farrakhan, called on President Barack Obama to open up Area 51, a government location known for sparking conspiracy theories surrounding aliens and UFO landings. President Barack Obama called the scientists, open up Area 51 to the scientists, to the world, because you, America, are the leader that Allah God has raised and made you powerful that he might make himself known through you, Farrakhan said. And if America calls the scientists of the Earth to such a place, they will respond.
I like how you stumble through the name of our president. Like it's the first time you've ever heard it before.
I don't vote. The Nation of Islam leader said that calling the scientists to the location
Doesn't read
was
very well either.
The Nation of Islam leader said that calling the scientists to the location would show them the sign of the presence of God to the rights and wrongs of the earth and then heal it. Farrakhan maintained that Obama would place the shadow government, a coalition that is purportedly controlled by the global elite and has seemingly veiled Area 51 and UFOs in secrecy, in danger of being exposed if he complies.
Wow, he is just one big conspiracy theorist.
The faith leader believes that this secretive government force has hidden the presence of UFOs from American presidents and the public alike for decades. This includes the Mother Wheel, a massive spaceship that he believes remains in orbit and will eventually rescue Nation of Islam adherents from Earth. The scientists
Alex
all over
Jones of Islam.
The scientists all over Earth will know, especially through the clarity of our voice and what they see, that God is present and that we have destroyed. I said present, not president. Have destroyed would not have this knowledge if it did not come from the highest of sources, Farrakhan continued. We believe our words that we have shared on the presence of the wheel could help the president and America to avert Allah's warning of chastisement and destruction if America does not bow down. Farrakhan said that this shadow government, which his outlet Final Call recently described in detail, could lead to the destruction of America if the truth is contained. So by opening up Area 51, he seemingly believes that this chaos can be averted. Wow.
Yeah.
Did anybody tell the good minister that they declassified Area 51 already?
No, he's a bit behind.
And
he doesn't have the internet.
From our favorite news source.
But he does have the mothership connection.
From our favorite news source, cryptozoologynews.com, a Florida woman has a close encounter with Bigfoot. And this is from Milton, Florida. A woman says a strange animal that looked like a monkey broke into her kitchen Friday afternoon. The incident allegedly occurred in a country house located about 35 miles west of town. Elizabeth Rantalati,
Spit it out, son. Spit it out.
45, told Cryptozoology News that she is still shaken by the sighting. My son was outside playing with a friend. I was getting things ready for his birthday, so I finished baking a cake, and then I had to go to the bathroom for a minute, said the woman. The witness explained she detected a strange foul smell. We have those smoke alarms in the house. They can also measure gas, but they didn't go off. The stench was unbearable.
Bigfoot took a shit.
It was very humid, as if it was raining inside the house. You know, the smell when it rains, but it was mixed with something that smelled like rotten eggs and wet dog. And I thought, well, this may be coming from the river. Then I remembered about the cake, and, well, I figured maybe I left the gas on the stove or something. So she went to the kitchen, and what she saw there, she confessed, left her stupefied. The smell got more intense as I got to the kitchen's door. I see this big animal standing there, checking out the cake. He was poking it and smelling it. Pieces of pie all over the kitchen tile. He looked kind of like a big monkey.
And then he sat in one of the chairs and said, "This one is too tight. This one's just right."
My first thoughts were that it was my son and a friend playing a prank on me, but when it looked at me, I kind of freaked out. I swear that it looked like a human face. I screamed so loud my son came right in from the backyard, she explained.
Looked like a human.
When her 7-year-old son arrived, alarmed to hear his mother screaming for help, she claims the beast began screaming too. And we all screamed. The three of us stood there screaming. It sounds funny now, but it wasn't as funny when it happened. Then he went running into the backyard, jumped over the fence with such ease I was shocked, and that was it.
What did the creature do?
That is what the creature did.
Oh, I thought that was her son.
Purportedly, her son is still having nightmares about the encounter. And I saw him standing eating my birthday cake, and I screamed and screamed, and then my mom screamed, and then the monkey ran away, and my friend was sitting in the backyard, and he says he saw it too.
My mom went to the bathroom and smelled a horrible smell.
And he jumped
Came
over the
from her
fence like a
asshole.
deer. But he said he wasn't afraid because he saw Mom coming right behind it with a stick, said the boy.
Thank
The
goodness.
woman's description of the animal matches thousands of witness reports across the country. That thing was huge. I say it was probably the size of a grown horse standing on its back legs, or a big pony. I don't know. That size, I think. The big belly, Rentinelli said. According to
A
cryptozoologists.
horse standing on its hind legs, so it was like 15 feet tall.
According to cryptozoologists, the mayaca, also known as the skunk ape, is a hominid supposedly living in the Florida swamps. They're also known for their foul smell, and thick fur.
And love of cake.
And from Fox News, reindeer get glowing antler makeover in Finland. Rudolph the reindeer is having a glittering antler makeover, the latest attempt to halt some of the thousands of road deaths of the roaming caribou in the wilds of Finland. Anne Olila of the Finnish Reindeer Herds Association says that the antlers of 20 reindeer have been painted with various fluorescent dyes to see how the animals react and whether the paints are resistant to the harsh Arctic climate.
Yeah, because that can't hurt anything.
Yeah.
If successful, animals with glittering antlers will be free to roam Lapland, a vast deserted area in northern Finland where herders tend to some 200,000 reindeer.
Some will also be equipped with glittery fairy wings and glow sticks.
Olila says reflectors and reflective tape have proven
Reindeer
unsuccessful
start
as
going to raves.
reindeer have torn them off. And road signs warning drivers of roaming reindeer often are stolen by tourists as souvenirs.
Oh, God.
And I've saved the best for last. This is from Yahoo News. Weird Science Weekly. Penis Museum wants a human donation.
Stop. Did you say penis museum?
I said Penis Museum searches for a human donation. This may seem like the trailer for a comedy, and undoubtedly there are some chuckle-worthy parts, even in this 2-minute-long video. However, the Final Member documentary follows a very real quest by the curator of the Icelandic Philological Museum, and the only museum in the world dedicated to collecting and preserving penises. There's one important specimen missing from the collection, though, a human penis. And the founder and curator is very interested in anyone willing to donate theirs. While most would cringe at the idea, 2 men are up to the task. And
How about the curator pony up? He's the one wanting it.
and the movie, due out in theaters April 18th, follows the undoubtedly strange story about which penis will be the one. If you're interested in visiting the Icelandic Philological Museum to gaze around in wonder or
No,
horror
I'm not.
at the incredible example of philology you can find there, plan your trip to Reykjavik. It's just a short drive from the airport.
To rake a dick?
Reykjavik. And that's the news, fellas.
Yeah.
That place shouldn't exist.
Reykjavik?
Yes.
Penis Museum.
But they've given us such great things at, like, Bjork.
Yeah, leave it to the Icelanders.
And I believe you can find more information on the Penis Museum at the finalmember.com. Thefinalmember.com. If you'd like to look at some shriveled up old
Steve's
penises.
enjoying saying member and penis.
He is.
I like
He's
it
got his members only jacket on.
because I can't pronounce philological correctly. Phallological? Phallus. It's called a phallus, right?
Just give
Dick
up.
in a box.
Just give up. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 25 of the Fortean Slip. Thank you. Good night. And like us. Comment.